Baton Rouge is the capital of the U.S. state of Louisiana and its second-largest city, the seat of East Baton Rouge Parish. The city is located on the eastern bank of the Mississippi River. As the capital city, Baton Rouge is the political hub for Louisiana, and is the second-largest city in the state after New Orleans, with an estimated population of 228,590 in 2015. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the metropolitan area surrounding the city, known as Greater Baton Rouge, is also the second largest in Louisiana, with a population of 830,480 people as of 2015. The urban area has around 594,309 inhabitants. Baton Rouge is a major industrial, petrochemical, medical, research, motion picture, and growing technology center of the American South. The port of Greater Baton Rouge is the 10th largest in the United States in terms of tonnage shipped, and is the farthest upstream Mississippi River port capable of handling Panamax ships. The Baton Rouge area owes its historical importance to its strategic site upon the East Bluff, the first natural bluff upriver from the Mississippi River Delta. This allowed development of a business quarter, safe from seasonal flooding. In addition, the city built a levee system stretching from the bluff southward to protect the riverfront and low-lying agricultural areas. The city is a culturally rich center, with settlement by immigrants from numerous European nations and African peoples. It was ruled by 7 different governments: French, British, and Spanish in the colonial era, West Floridian, United States Territory and State, Confederate, and United States again. History. Prehistory. Human habitation in the Baton Rouge area has been dated to 1,200–6500 BC based on evidence found along the Mississippi, Cometa, and Amite rivers. Earthwork mounds were built by hunter-gatherer societies in the Middle Archaic period, from roughly the 4th millennium BC. Proto-Muskogee divided into its daughter languages by about 1000 BC, a cultural boundary between either side of Mobile Bay and the Black Warrior River begins to appear between about 1200 BC and 500 BC, the Middle Gulf formational stage. Eastern Muskogee began to diversify internally in the first half of the first millennium AD. The early Muskogee nations were the bearers of the Mississippian culture, which formed around AD 800 and extended in a vast network across the Mississippi and Ohio valleys, with numerous chiefdoms in the southeast as well. By the time the Spanish made their first forays inland from the shores of the Gulf of Mexico in the early 16th century, many political centers of the Mississippians were already in decline, or abandoned. At the time, the region appeared to be occupied by a collection of moderately sized native chiefdoms interspersed with autonomous villages and tribal groups. Colonial period French explorer Sieur d'Iberville led an exploration party up the Mississippi River in 1699. The explorer saw a red pole marking the boundary between the Homer and Bayagola tribal hunting grounds. The French name Le Baton Rouge is the translation of a native term rendered as Istroume, possibly a corruption of the Choctaw Hummer. André-Joseph Pennecourt, a carpenter traveling with d'Iberville, published the first full-length account of the expedition in 1723. According to Pennecourt, from there we went 5 leagues higher and found very high banks called écourts in that region, and in Savage called Istroume, which means red stick, as at this place there is a post painted red that the savages have sunk there to mark the land line between the two nations, namely, the land of the Bayagoulash which they were leaving and the land of another nation, 30 leagues upstream from the Baton Rouge, named the Umas. See also red sticks for the ceremonial use of red sticks among the Muskogee. The location of the Red Pole was presumably at Scotts Bluff, on what is now the campus of Southern University. It was reportedly a 30-foot-high painted pole adorned with fish bones. The settlement of Baton Rouge by Europeans began in 1721, when a military post was established by French colonists. Since European settlement, Baton Rouge has been governed by France, Britain, Spain, Louisiana, the Florida Republic, the Confederate States, and the United States. In 1755, when French-speaking settlers of Acadia in Canada's maritime provinces were driven into exile by British forces, many took up residence in rural Louisiana. Popularly known as Cajuns, the descendants of the Acadians maintained a separate culture. During the first half of the 19th century, the city grew steadily as the result of steamboat trade and transportation. Modern history: Baton Rouge was incorporated in 1817. In 1822, the Pentagon Barracks complex of buildings was completed. The site has been used by the Spanish, French, British, Confederate States Army, and United States Army and was part of the short-lived Republic of West Florida. In 1951, ownership of the barracks was transferred to the state of Louisiana, and in 1976 it was placed on the National Register of Historic Places. In 1846, the state legislature designated Baton Rouge, Louisiana's new capital to replace sinful New Orleans. The architect James Dakin was hired to design the Capitol building in Baton Rouge, with construction beginning in late 1847. Rather than mimic the federal capitol in Washington, as many other states had done, he designed a capitol in neo-Gothic, complete with turrets and crenellations, and stained glass, which overlooks the Mississippi. It has been described as the most distinguished example of Gothic Revival architecture in the state and has been designated as a National Historic Landmark. By the outbreak of the Civil War, the population of Baton Rouge was nearly 5,500. The war nearly halted economic progress, except for businesses associated with supplying the Union Army occupation of the city beginning in the spring of 1862. The Confederates at first consolidated their forces elsewhere, during which time the state government was moved to Opelousas and later Shreveport. In the summer of 1862, about 2,600 Confederate troops under Generals John C. Breckinridge and Daniel Ruggles tried in vain to recapture Baton Rouge. After the war, New Orleans served as the seat of the Reconstruction-era state government. When the Bourbon Democrats regained power in 1882, they returned the state government to Baton Rouge, where it has since remained. Carl Baedeker in his 1893 guidebook described Baton Rouge as the capital of Louisiana, a quaint old place with 10,378 inhabitants, on a bluff above the Mississippi. In the 1950s and 1960s, Baton Rouge experienced a boom in the petrochemical industry, causing the city to expand away from the original center. A building boom that began in the 1990s continued into the 2000s, during which Baton Rouge was one of the fastest-growing cities in the South in terms of technology, and metropolitan Baton Rouge was one of the fastest-growing metropolitan areas in the U.S., with 602,894 in 2008 and 2,484 people as of the 2010 census. Baton Rouge's population temporarily surged after Hurricane Katrina, as it accepted as many as 200,000 displaced residents. Geography and climate. Baton Rouge is located on the banks of the Mississippi River in southeastern Louisiana. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 79.1 square miles, of which 76.8 square miles is land and 2.2 square miles is water. The city is located on the first set of bluffs north of the Mississippi River Delta's coastal plains. Because of its prominent location along the river and on the bluffs, which prevents flooding, the French built a fort in the city in 1719. Baton Rouge is the third southmost capital city in the continental United States, after Austin, Texas, and Tallahassee, Florida. Tallest buildings. Baton Rouge's tallest buildings are neighborhoods. Baton Rouge has many neighborhoods both inside and outside the city limits. Climate. Baton Rouge has a humid subtropical climate, with mild winters, hot and humid summers, moderate to heavy rainfall, and the possibility of damaging winds and tornadoes year-long. The area's average precipitation is 55.55 inches of rain and 0.1 inches of snow annually. With ample precipitation, Baton Rouge is fifth on the list of wettest cities in the United States. Snow in the Baton Rouge area is usually rare, although it snowed in 3 consecutive years recently. On December 11, 2008, on December 4, 2009 and on February 12, 2010, the yearly average temperature for Baton Rouge is 67.5 degrees Fahrenheit, while the average temperature for January is 51.21 degrees Fahrenheit and August is 80.54 degrees Fahrenheit. The area is usually free from extremes in temperature with some cold winter fronts, but those are usually brief. Baton Rouge's proximity to the Gulf of Mexico exposes the metropolitan region to hurricanes. On September 1, 2008, Hurricane Gustav struck the city and would become the worst hurricane ever to hit the Baton Rouge area. Winds topped 100 miles per hour, knocking down trees and power lines and making roads impassable. The roofs of many buildings suffered tree damage, especially in the Highland Road, Garden District, and Goodwood areas. The city was shut down for 5 days and a curfew was put in effect. Rooftop shingles were ripped off, signs blown down, and minor structural damage occurred. National Protected Areas. Atchafalaya National Heritage Area. Baton Rouge National Cemetery. Independence Park. Botanic Gardens. Lawrence Henry Cone, Sr. Memorial Plant Arboretum. LSU Hilltop Arboretum. Magnolia Cemetery. Port Hudson National Cemetery. Demographics. As of the census of 2010, there were 229,553 people, but the 2010 census, 88,973 households, and 52,672 families residing in the city. The 2000 population density was 2,964.8 people per square mile. There were 97,388 housing units at an average density of 1,267.3 per square mile. According to the 2010, the racial makeup of the city was 50.4% Black or African American, 40.8% white, 0.5% Native American, 3.5% Asian, and 1.3% from 2 or more races. Hispanic or Latino were 3.5% of the population. Non-Hispanic whites were 37.8% of the population, down from 70.5% in 1970. Of all households, 28.1% had children under the age of 18, 35.8% were married couples living together, 19.0% had a female householder with no husband present, and 40.8% were non-families. 31.7% of all households were made up of individuals and 8.6% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.42 and the average family size was 3.12. In the city, the population was spread out with 24.4% under the age of 18, 17.5% from 18 to 24, 27.2% from 25 to 44, 19.4% from 45 to 64, and 11.4% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 30 years. For every 100 females there were 90.5 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 86.3 males. The median income for a household in the city was $30,368, and the median income for a family was $40,266. Males had a median income of $34,893 versus $23,115 for females. The per capita income for the city was $18,512. About 18.0% of families and 24.0% of the population were below the poverty line, including 31.4% of those under age 18 and 13.8% of those ages 65 or over. At the 2005 to 2007 American Community Survey 3-year estimates, 32.4% of the population had a bachelor's degree or higher. Economy. Baton Rouge enjoys a strong economy that has helped the city be ranked as one of the top 10 places for young adults in 2010 by Portfolio magazine, and one of the top 20 cities in North America for economic strength by Brookings. In 2009, the city was ranked as the 9th best place in the country to start a new business by CNN. Lima Advertising Company has its headquarters in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is the furthest inland port on the Mississippi River that can accommodate ocean-going tankers and cargo carriers. The ships transfer their cargo at Baton Rouge onto rails and pipelines or barges. Deep draft vessels cannot pass the old Huey-Long Bridge because the clearance is insufficient, and the river depth decreases significantly just to the north, near Port Hudson. Baton Rouge's largest industry is petrochemical production and manufacturing. ExxonMobil's Baton Rouge refinery complex is the 4th largest oil refinery in the country. It is the world's 10th largest. Baton Rouge also has rail, highway, pipeline, and deep water access. Albemarle Corporation is headquartered in Baton Rouge. Dow Chemical Company has a large plant in Iberville Parish near Plaquemine, 17 miles south of Baton Rouge. Nanotechnology Corporation has a large facility in North Baton Rouge that makes PVC and CPVC pipes. Shaw Construction, Turner, and Harmony all started with performing construction work at these plants. As well as being the state capital and parish seat, the city is the home of Louisiana State University. One of the largest single employers in Baton Rouge is the state government, which recently consolidated all branches of state government downtown at the Capitol Park complex. The research hospitals Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital, Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center, and Earl K. Long, helped by an emerging medical corridor at Essen Lane, Summer Avenue, Bluebonnet Boulevard, are positioning Baton Rouge to eventually support a medical district similar to the Texas Medical Center. LSU and Tulane have both announced plans to construct satellite medical campuses in Baton Rouge to partner with Our Lady of the Lake Medical Center and Baton Rouge General Medical Center, respectively. Southeastern Louisiana University and Our Lady of the Lake College both have nursing schools in the medical district off Essen Lane. Louisiana State University's Pennington Biomedical Research Center, which conducts clinical and biological research, also contributes to research-related employment in the area or around the Baton Rouge Medical District. The film industry in Louisiana has increased dramatically in the last last decade, in response to generous tax incentives adopted by the state in 2002. In September 2013, the Baton Rouge Film Commission reported that the industry had brought more than $90 million into the local economy in 2013. Baton Rouge's largest production facility is the Celtic Media Center, opened in 2006 by a local group in collaboration with Raleigh Studios of Los Angeles. Raleigh dropped its involvement in 2014. Top employers. According to the city's 2013 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city were